On today's podcast, we're heading to the southwest for a taste of County Kerry. Hi, thanks for joining me again here on the Traveling in Ireland podcast. Today we are venturing down to the Kingdom of Kerry, and I'm very excited to tell you about a relatively new tour that you can take that involves whiskey and food. But before we get into that, I want to remind you, if you visit a place that you heard about on the podcast, be sure to let them know. This helps me to get more great guests on the show and share more terrific Ireland attractions and tips. So don't forget to be a name dropper. Just say, I heard about you on the Traveling in Ireland podcast. So as I said, today we are heading down to County Kerry, and I have with me Neil Saad, who is your host at Kingdom Whiskey Tasting in Kerry. So Neil, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Yep. Hello. Thanks, Jody, for having me today. Quite happy to be here on the show.
So it was really exciting for me actually to connect with you, because when I was planning my most recent tour, and we started planning over a year ago, but when I was looking for some sort of food, drink tasting in County Kerry, it was actually really difficult for me to find an offering, which I thought was a little odd, as Kerry's a super popular place with so much to offer. So I was delighted to hear from you, and I'm really excited to dig into this. So your business operates throughout the county of Kerry. And most people, when they think of Kerry, they know Killarney, they know Dingle, but your base is actually in Tralee. So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about that town that not that many people really know about?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, and you're perfectly right. So Kerry is probably the most popular destination for holidaymakers here in Ireland, and outside Dublin probably. And like you said, Killarney, Dingle, that would be the hotspots for them to go. Meanwhile, Tralee is it's the biggest town in the area, and it's also the capital of County Kerry, so quite an important place. But it's always in a bit in the shadow, I suppose, of those like the likes of Dingle and Killarney and even Kenmare, which is quite weird. Anyway, I'm based here, which is good. Like the town itself, I think has a quite good bits to offer in terms of accommodation. Obviously, there's top class hotels here in town, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. Good entertainment here during the night. If you love like a typical Irish pub, you will find loads of them in here. And I suppose one of the big plus sides of Tralee is that, I suppose, diversity, because when you go to Dingle, you go to Killarney, they have brilliant places, the accommodation, pubs, restaurants, no doubt about it. But I'd say you find a bit more different things here, right? So in terms of international places that give you probably a bit different food than you would find in Dingle. And also the people, I'd say it's probably a more authentic experience that you might have, because it's not a town like, and again, I mean that in a positive way, Dingle and Killarney, they all have a massive focus on obviously accommodating visitors from all over the world, not just from the States, even from domestic travelers. But you will find Tralee to be very, very attractive if you actually want to see Irish people in the middle of them. So you go in a bar and you can be sure it's not 90% people from your own country.
That's
right?
What I was just going to ask, what's the tourist, I don't want to say influx, but that's the word that's coming to me. So when you go out on a night in Tralee, you're not going to just walk into a pub that has a few Irish musicians, maybe some Irish bartenders, but then everybody else is a visitor.
Exactly. Yeah. So the most bars you can go to, and that's probably all year round, you will find people like me there, right? Who actually live and work in town, who might not even be from town, who might be from all different countries, but might be living here for ages, really. And then you have like the Tralee natives and people from North Kerry. You might have people from all other parts of Kerry, and they live and work here because it's a massive hub in terms of enterprises and industry and all that. So it's a lovely place where you actually can relax in the middle of, not just your own kind of people, And I think we all been to the pub in Killarney, or not just looking at Kerry, Dublin. You go into a bar and literally everybody around you is not from there. So you talk to people, and to 10 people, and 9 of them, they're all from other countries, also just visitors. So I think it's a good experience. which makes it quite lovely. And then on the other side, you can obviously, there's loads of things that you can do here in a town like that. Town that size, you have loads of not just restaurants and hospitality, you have loads of activities that you can do. Like, there's the Aquadome, which is a lovely indoor water place for not just for children. They have a fantastic spa in there as well. You have the wetlands, which is a nice experience there, walking around like a lake and all that along the River Lee. You have the canal with Blenaville at the end, like with the windmill, one of the only working windmills in this part of the world. You have the town park, obviously, and you have the massive connection to, but probably everybody, not everybody, but most people with an Irish connection in the United States know about, which is the Rose of Tralee Festival every year here, which is a massive attraction and attracts loads of people, just not just from Tralee, but also people that live somewhere and come back to Tralee to visit relatives and all that. So it's a lovely place, and I love living here. If you ask me, would you like to live in Tralee or Killarney? And I say that as someone who's not born in Tralee. I would always make my choice again and come here to Tralee. And yeah, good
Definitely
place.
some place to consider. And it's not, like you said, it's kind of that largest town, that main market town of County Kerry. But it's just, I feel like it's just enough past and off, kind of off that main tourist trail that people don't quite get that far.
Yeah, at the same time, it's a perfect hub, actually, right? So if you come into Tralee, we are based here literally on the eastern tip of the Dingle Peninsula. And
Mm-hmm.
it's 30 something minutes from here to Killarney. That means when you stay in Tralee for 2 days, you can do the full itinerary traveling across Kerry, because you can go within half an hour to Killarney National Park. You can go on the Ring of Kerry. You can come back. Next day, you can go on the peninsula, Dingle. You can go to Dingle. You can go Slaya Drive, all those like popular places. And then again, you can come back at the end of the day. So you don't have to switch actually accommodation or that. Meanwhile, you can stay in one place, which is obviously a good thing. But also you can, it's not every night you have to go to the same restaurant there, because there's much to choose from, which is great. Like, even that, you can do that throughout the whole year, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I bet, look, this is, what is it today? It's mid-December now when we record this, right? So I can guarantee you last weekend you go to Dingle, half of the places would have been closed, right? Because it's just, there's nothing left there. Today is Thursday. You go into Tralee later today, you will find like students, you will find like people on Christmas parties, etc. So there's always something happening. It's never boring or everything is shut down, something like that. So throughout the year, it's a place where you can go actually and see something and experience
Mm-hmm.
something, and that makes it quite a nice spot, I suppose.
If you're dreaming of exploring Ireland, look no further than the Southwest Sampler, a free week-long itinerary from Ireland Family Vacations that is perfect for travelers of all ages. From must-see gems like the Dingle Peninsula, the Ring of Kerry, and the Cliffs of Moher, to unforgettable stops at Bunratty Castle and Folk Park and the iconic Rock of Cashel, this itinerary has it all. In this itinerary, you're going to get attraction and lodging recommendations, car rental tips, and money-saving advice. If you're ready to make your dream Irish adventure stress-free, you can request your free Southwest Sampler itinerary at IrelandFamilyVacations.com/SWS. Your journey to Ireland starts here. So we mentioned the Ring of Kerry, the Dingle Peninsula, and I kind of alluded to it at the beginning, but County Kerry is known as the Kingdom, or the Kingdom of Kerry. So other spots venturing out from Tralee, what other things should people keep in mind when they're spending time in County Kerry?
Yeah, I suppose everybody knows about those like fantastic places along the Ring of Kerry. Everybody knows about Slade Drive. Everybody knows Killarney National Park, Dingle. I think you covered that in your other podcast, from
Mm-hmm.
A to B to C, so there is no need to talk about that. But there is a part besides Tralee that's mainly overlooked. It's something where people might travel through, but they wouldn't look to the left or to the right. And that's the north part of it, actually, North Kerry, which is a lovely rural area and has actually a good few things to offer that you can, again, you could explore them from Tralee, if that's your base. You can explore them when you travel to County Clare. You can explore them when you travel to Limerick and further on to, Galway, back to Dublin, wherever you want to go. There's a good few things like massive beaches like Banna, lovely little port towns, port villages actually like Feenit, very good for seafood. You can jump on a boat there, explore Tralee Bay, and further down, Banna Street is probably one of the longest sand stretches here in Ireland. You have Kerry Head, which is the northwestern tip of County Kerry and also the southern tip of the mouth of the Shannon. So you can travel along the River Shannon, you can jump on the ferry and cross the Shannon, get into Clare. And there's like places like Listowel, like another small town in the North Kerry, lovely museum there, Writers Museum, Kerry Writers Museum. You have like a castle there, brilliant pubs actually there as well. They in October Listowel races, which is a massive event into the area. So all these little things that mainly are overlooked, but definitely worth visiting. One of my favorite places in the area would be Otford, which is a very, very small village, but has two big cathedrals there. One is actually a museum now, so you can just walk around, see like all those little artifacts and old stones, etc. Get a lovely exhibition there as well. And then the other one is like an old friary, I suppose, which is like a ruin of a monastery, very similar to the more popular Muckross Abbey. So like same in probably age and style, but much more like overlooked and but brilliant and impressive to see. And most people would know, like they have Rato, which is a round tower in the
I
middle of
love
nowhere.
Ratu.
Yeah, and nobody would know it really, but it's just one of two round towers in County Kerry, and it's the only one that actually is like not just 2 meters high, but you actually can, like see a full round tower, and nobody would know about it. And it's just there, costs you nothing to go there. So all these things that are really, really
Funny story. That was the first round tower I ever saw was
oh really,
Ratu.
that's unusual.
It was 22 years ago.
All right,
And I was just randomly driving, because there was all I had was a paper map. And so
yeah,
I'm just kind of working my way around. I'm like, well, if I hit the water, I know, I kind of have an idea where I am. And I was driving along, and in the distance, I saw that cone
yeah,
top. And I was like, well, I've got to go see that. And it was kind of funny because it went from, being a proper road to, at the time, it was like two wheel ruts with grass growing in
yeah.
the middle. And I got out there and there's nobody else around. I kind of felt like I discovered something. I'm all on my own. And it was just an amazing feeling. I loved that.
I guess the road, well, maybe slightly improved, but not much. But
Slightly improved, but yeah, it was just.
but definitely, I'd say on 9 out of 10 days you go there, there will be nobody else.
Mhm.
And as you say, it's in the middle of nowhere because it's quite flat. It's just a bit hilly area there,
Yeah,
so you
there's
can actually
there's
see
a
it for miles.
farm there.
Exactly. Yeah,
There's
there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was lovely. And I think another thing that people don't often think about, because when you cross, let's say you're going from Clare down toward Killarney and you cross on the ferry, you go through Listowel,
Yeah.
but you have to actually make the detour to follow the coast.
Yeah.
And I think people often, they know in the back of their mind that the coast is there, but I think that northern coast of County Kerry is so often missed unless people are
True.
going to Ballybunion.
Yeah.
That northern coast is kind of cut off on your
Yeah.
direct route
It
down
is.
toward the hubs in Kerry. And that's a beautiful area.
It is. It is absolutely stunning. The cliffs, like you mentioned, Ballybunion, they have lovely cliffs there, and the cliff walk from there is fantastic. And if you go a bit more further north, then, or like say between Kerry Head and Ballyhike and Ballybunion, the cliffs, the area there is beautiful. So many like sea arts and blowholes and just like fantastic spaces. And you very likely you will be there on your own on any
Yeah.
given day throughout the year. So it's a great, again, like I love Kerry Cliffs outside Portmagee. I love like, Slayhead and all that fantastic places. But if you're looking for something special for like that secret thing that you might want to discover while you're around and where you can show pictures and nobody else would know where you are, where you've been, then definitely North Kerry, that's the area, that's the place where you should go. It's so handy because normally, as you say, most people that come into County Kerry, they come through Limerick or they come from County Clare. So crossing the Shannon, it's like a 50 minutes thing on a ferry, cost you 20 euro or something with a car, and then you're right there and there's no need to rush. You can just like spend 2 hours on the road exploring the coast, stopping here and there, seeing places like Rato or Otford and all that, and it's just an experience that you can
Take the
you
time to
really shouldn't miss.
meander for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what would you say if somebody says they're coming to Ireland and they're in their trip planning stage? They don't really have anything laid out yet. At a minimum, how many days would you say people should stay in County Kerry to get the most out of it? I know that you could say a week or 10 days and they wouldn't run out of things to do. But,
Definitely, yeah.
Considering the fact that they're in Ireland, it may be their only trip, how many days do you think County Kerry is worth to get the best of it?
It's really hard to say, and I'd say it depends a lot on what you're really into. you know yourself, if you're into activities like outdoor activities that could easily take like a full afternoon or something, then obviously that would change the whole thing. If you just enjoy sitting in a car traveling around for days and stopping here and there, then obviously you can, there's people that do the Ring of Kerry in one day and they're happy with it. That wouldn't be for me though, because it's just a bit too rushed, I suppose. But if you look from Barra, Ring of Kerry, Killarney, Dingle, North Kerry, and then just staying in towns as well, a week will not do it really.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah, let's
easily
not even get
spend,
started on Barra
no, yeah,
because
you
that
can
one,
easily, I'd say at
that's a
least you
tricky
can,
one right there.
if you really want to see County Kerry, and that's what I recommend when people ask me, so what should I do? What would you recommend? I'd say, look, always do it twice. Come here once,
Mm,
travel around as much as possible and see as many places, and then make a decision. I say, look, I love whatever South Kerry the most, or Tralee or Dingle, whatever it is, and then come back and spend a week or 10 days just in the area. Just find that little cottage or that little, B&B or whatever place you want to stay in, and then go from there, go to all the other places and explore.
yeah.
And then if you love that, then come back a third time and do that, then not in this area, but do it in another one. And that's not just, look, this is from a Kerry point of view, obviously, but I think it applies to most places in Ireland. If you go to
Hmm.
Donegal, if you go to whatever place in the south,
Yeah.
I'd say it's a good recommendation. And sure, there is loads of things, and maybe focus on two things that you want to do. Like, I want to do a hill walk, I want to do whatever, I want to do cycling, I want to do
Hmm.
a boat trip, and pick those things and go there, do something, and find 2 or 3 stops on your way there. So then that's probably a good week or something that you could spend here. And again, if you loved it, then come just back, pick a place and stay there for another week.
Yes, so much to do, including your business, Kingdom Whiskey Tasting Events, which is relatively new. I want to say
It is.
maybe you're a year old now.
Yeah, it's a tough question because actually the first tasting I did under this company brand, that was in May last year. So that would make it literally nearly 1.5 years old, but that wouldn't be the real story actually, because back then I was still working with Dingle Distillery, being a tour guide there, and doing the tastings was just a little side thing on an odd Thursday evening or on a weekend or whatever. So that was not really like in a business thing, I suppose. However, I left distillery last winter and decided to put my main focus on this business. So from March this year, I actually explored more options in terms of doing tastings all over County Kerry. So a little bit then a year as being a proper business, I suppose, whatever you want to call it. That's probably it. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Kingdom Whiskey Tasting, because you're not in a singular location.
No.
You do private events, but you also, I believe, do public events but you have a cap on that. So tell us kind of what you offer, because I think it's a very unique proposition.
Well, it is unique in this area, at least. What you said earlier is kind of correct. So there's not many people doing this. I'd say probably in Ireland, there's maybe a handful of people that do something similar in their area. So what we do is, I always say we are an event company. So we organize micro events in terms of tasting experiences. And I love the part that it is an experience and not just a tasting, because when I say I do whiskey tastings, so people immediately have something in their head, and that might not necessarily be actually what we do. Because obviously there's loads of people there, they give you a whiskey, and you go into a bar and they give you a whiskey flight with 3 different whiskeys, and maybe there's a cart with a bit of explanation on it or whatever. Or maybe the bartender is like, knowledgeable enough to give you further details about the drink and the producers and all that. But what we do is, we do all that, but we add loads of stories. We add background information about the production. So it's not a lecture, but it's informative enough to give you like a good overview about what is
It's an
actual whiskey.
education.
It is educational, but in a fun way. You don't have to feel like you're the student there and you listen to the teacher and at the end there's a test or something like that. It's more like, it's a fun, informative thing that's not just there for whiskey drinkers, actually. Especially when we do tastings in those tourist places like Dingle, Killarney, and you have people coming in and they would love to do like that experience. Then there is mainly people that actually do it, and there is the other part that travels with them and is there for them. You know what I mean? So they enjoy it the same way, because what we do is not just like, here's your drink. If you don't drink whiskey, well, that's bad for you, but that's the experience. No, it's loads of stuff that we talk about in terms of production facts, about history of whiskey, which people are kind of aware of, but not into that extent, I suppose. And then obviously it's all local stuff, because we work with, nearly 100%, we work with brands and people that are here from County Kerry. So that means we can mix that with the stories of the brands, with the people behind the brand, and with the place names where all those people are. And this is quite a lovely thing, because Kerry, we're quite lucky here that we not just have great spirits actually that we can talk about, but also that the brands all have a kind of nice, lovely story. I would struggle. Look,
Hmm.
the business Kingdom Whiskey Tasting Events, we're an independent business, so we're not paid by any of the brands to, to promote their products, to use them. So if I personally think the whiskey here is not a good product and it wouldn't fit the tasting, I will not use it. Right. So I don't have to use it because someone is giving me money for it. And I don't have to tell you any marketing stories that I believe are not relevant for the product. Right. So I would struggle with some marketing stories. I'm not talking about the brands necessarily here in
Hmm.
Kerry, but I mean, if you look at the whiskey industry and probably any industry, there is loads of marketing talk, and you think like, all right, why is that now important for the product or for anything? If I feel we don't need that, I don't use it during the tasting. That's just as simple as it is. So we talk about the actual things, and it's quite authentic, I believe. So we can talk about, for instance, we use whiskies from a company called Portmagee Whiskey, which is a good example. That's just two brothers behind it. They're from the area, from Portmagee. They try to build something on the family land. They have a massive plan laid out for the future, but also they tell you a lovely story that goes back centuries about Portmagee, about the little village that they're from. So we give you those information about the brand, how that brand came up, being set up by two guys from the area, and how they want to tell the story of Portmagee through their whiskey products. So I believe that's a great thing. That's a great cause that I love to support. And if I think actually those people are genuine and I can really, really love to work with them, then I love to tell that story. And I think if you go on a tasting with us, you will feel that straight away, that we're not just giving you a marketing story of like a brand
Hmm.
from some
Hmm.
people sitting in a
It's
big
very
office
personal.
selling something. Exactly. And then the next day, or maybe the day before, you can go actually to Portmagee and see those guys, right? Or at least see the place and hear about that. And all those different brands that we use during the tastings, they all have some sort of that background or story that we can tell, and where you can then later on connect the dots and maybe see the place where they are, hear about something somewhere else that we just told you about. Like there's another distillery called Skellig, so you might have seen Skellig Island, Skellig Michael, and then again you connect those dots. So that's a massive part of what we do. And the drinking part is, well, it's part of it, but it's not, and it's obviously an important part of it. But as you can see, even if you don't drink whiskey, you will definitely enjoy the rest of it and make that connection to the drinks and why it works. So yeah, it's kind of a, I'd say it's more like a local experience with the drinking part. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Instead of
Hmm.
just being in a pub and drinking. And what we do is 100% mobile. So this is why we can bring that to any place across Kerry. Myself here, I'm based in Tralee, but we do tastings in Dingle, Killarney. We can do them in Kenmare. We can actually do them in any sort of venue. So if you're like from a travel point of view, if you're a family traveling around and you love to do something in a hotel, in whatever place you're staying, we can arrange that with you. And you mentioned food there earlier as well. So there's definitely the option to work with an hotel, bar, with a restaurant or whatever to create kind of really unique experiences if you want, or, something bespoke at least. So that's what we do. Yeah. And it's not just whiskey, it's also gin and different other spirits, because that's what the guys here do. And this makes it a bit more diverse as well, I suppose. Yeah.
I think that the bespoke aspect of this makes it really, really nice where you can, say we have so many people, we are here, what can we arrange with you? But then you also do every so often have experiences that people can book into. So it offers a lot of flexibility, I think, to a visitor, how they want to have this experience.
Yeah, definitely. So we used to do that in Dingle this last summer. That was the location where we started it, offering so-called walk-in tastings. So every Tuesday and Thursday, we've been in a pub in Dingle, and 5:30 you could just you could book in advance, obviously. But if you happen to be around, you could just jump in and get that experience, which is great if you're like, say, you're stuck on a rainy day and you were looking for something to to shelter,
Hmm.
and then obviously you can go into a bar and just sit and drink, or this would be just give you another hour-long experience of something and gives you much more to take away from. So yeah, that's another thing, and we hopefully will repeat that in Dingle this year, and hopefully we'll be looking at to expand that to other towns like Killarney or other places as well. So it's slowly building up because we're still quite young, so it all obviously depends on staff and opportunities and partners to find places and all that, to venues especially to work with, and yeah, we have a good few new products lined up as well, which I'm working on at the moment, developing partnerships with other tour activities, so that you can say you do whatever activity and at the end you get a whiskey tasting and maybe
Hmm.
some food afterwards, so that literally your whole afternoon would be planned out for you. So you come into a place like Dingle and you can do whatever, two different activities, learn loads of stuff, and then have a nice food at the end, and that's your whole day sorted. So yeah, so we're working on that, and hopefully that will all go ahead this year.
Very nice. So, where can people find out more? Website, social media that they can follow, anything that they can kind of, keep an eye on what you're doing as they're starting to make their plans and thinking about their time in Kerry?
Yeah, definitely. So we have our own website, kingdomwhiskey.com, where you can book us. There's a good overview there about the different experiences that we offer at the moment. That's the stuff that we do. Like, we have, like, for instance, we have we have a Kerry whiskey experience, which is the standard whiskey tasting package, including 4 whiskeys. And you can book that. Sorry, you can inquire about that. You can say, look, I want to do that next Thursday. And we are in Killarney. So we will get back to you, suggest a venue. If you don't, so for instance, if you say we want to do that in a restaurant, because we have a dinner reservation there, sure, we can just try to arrange that with the guys. But if you say, look, we're just in Killarney, then we will look for a pub or whatever venue, because again, we're quite flexible. So if you think pub atmosphere, that's great, that's fine. If you say, no, we want more like an exclusive experience, then we try to find like a separate room, like lovely armchairs or whatever, open fire in a restaurant or in an hotel. So that's all possible. So we just get back to you, make a suggestion, tell you what it cost, and then you can say yes or no, and then we just arrange. Or again, bespoke things where you can say, look, we are not all whiskey drinkers, but we have some gin drinkers here. Then we can just make it a combination, win gin and whiskey. So yeah, that's it. And then social media obviously is another thing. If you want to keep up to date, we are on Instagram. Kingdom Whiskey Kerry is the handle, and the same on Facebook. So that's then also when we promote like the public events that you can just book in if you happen to be in the area. Yeah.
Terrific. And my listeners know that they can visit the show notes. They'll be able to get all of those links super easy. So before I let you go, and this is probably the trickiest question I'm going to ask you. What 3 things should a visitor to Kerry not miss? This can be anything. It can be an attraction. It can be, something that you might consider to be super special, but nobody knows about it. It could be a restaurant. But what 3 things should people maybe be sure is on their itinerary for Kerry? Are you ready to hit the road in Ireland? When it's time to compare car rental prices, check out Irish Car Rentals, my top pick for great vehicles and outstanding customer service. Plus, I have a special treat for you, an exclusive 10% discount when you book using link IrelandFamilyVacations.com/ICR. Start your journey the smart way, save more, and explore more with Irish Car Rentals.
Well, obviously, I will not just go to Dingle, go to Killarney, go on the Ring of Kerry, because that's what probably everybody's doing anyway. So if you would say, look, what's probably the 3 most secret things that I would recommend, then I'd say definitely Ardford. That would be something. Definitely go there. Maybe my favorite beach would be Barrow Beach outside Feenit, which is quite a hidden thing, very hard to find. So you would actually have to know where you're going. It's easy to find if you using Google Maps and all that, but it's a brilliant spot to go. And the last one, I'd say, well, I have to say, just stay 2 nights in Tralee and explore the town, explore the people here, and take it from here. You can still go to all the other popular places. Yeah, you have to see what the town here has to offer. And if you happen to be around, I'm happy to meet you for a pint or whatever. So if I happen to be here as well, so no problem. You don't have to book me for anything. So if I'm here.
So reach out to Neil. He'll tell you the best pub in Tralee.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, Neil, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Like I said, super excited about your business. It has been definitely needed in the area. And gosh, nothing but good luck with this, because I think it's a terrific offering.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're happy to be here and to do it. And we're really looking forward to our 2nd year.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. And I'm not sure if I should apologize for giving you one more thing to add to your County Kerry itinerary, but now I'm not going to apologize, because I think that this would be a terrific addition to almost any time spent in County Kerry. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you can't leave a review on your podcast app, you can visit Ireland Family Vacations on Facebook and leave a review there, or visit Trustpilot at IrelandFamilyVacations.com/trust, TRUST, and say something nice. I would really appreciate it. If you have questions or comments, you can always email me, Jody, Jody, at IrelandFamilyVacations.com. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, Slán go fóill.